Hi, this is Darcy Owens, and I'm going to read about Eugene Victor Debs. Eugene Victor Debs was a well-known socialist. He has been portrayed both positively and negatively. Negatively, he has been portrayed as a radical labor baron known as King Debs, destroying property rights, taking over railroads, and has been seen as an anti-war extremist who failed at 5 attempts in presidency. However, he has also been known as a kind idealist who had a hard time grasping realities of economic life, a highly effective union leader of turn-of-the-century America, loved and respected by businessmen in his own hometown. He was known as one of the giants among the pioneers of the American labor movement. Labor unions are seen as the most active supporters of Debs. Eugene Debs was born in 1855 in Terre Haute, Indiana. His parents had immigrated from France, and his father was a prosperous family. He owned a textile mill and a meat market. Debs attended public school only to drop out at 14 to start work at Vandalia Railroad with the Brotherhood of Locomotive Firemen. This led to the founding of the American Railroad Union, which is also known as ARU, known as one of the nation's first industrial unions. In 1894, Debs led a national strike of railroad workers known as the Pullman Strike. The strike was broken by the U.S. Army and by President Grover Cleveland. As a leader of the ARU, Debs was convicted and spent 6 months in prison. He went into prison as a labor leader and came out, after reading about socialism, came out a socialist. And he also ran for Socialist Party candidate for president for 4 non-consecutive years. Eugene Debs was arrested for a second time in 1918 under the Espionage of 1917, which was signed by President Wilson in regards to anyone who denounced American participants in World War I or anyone discouraging recruitment to be sentenced to a long prison time, approximately 10 years. While sentenced for his 10 years in prison, he ran for president one last time, receiving nearly 1 million votes. He didn't win, but he did that in his last year of prison there. Debs passed away in 1926, leaving behind his wife and a very colorful history. The speech that I'm going to read is from his day in court before he spent the 10 years in prison, and it was in 1918, and this was right before his arrest. Your Honor, years ago I recognized my kinship with all living beings, and I made up my mind that I was not one bit better than the meanest on earth. I said then, and I say now, that while there is a lower class, I am in it. While there is a criminal element, I am of it. While there is a soul in prison, I am not free. Your Honor, I have stated in this court that I am opposed to the social system in which we live, that I believe in fundamental change, but if possible, by peaceable and orderly means. Standing here this morning, I recall my brotherhood. Of 14, I went to work in a railroad shop. At 16, I was firing a freight engine on a railroad. I remember all the hardships and privations of that early day. And from that time until now, my heart has been with the working class. I could have been in Congress long ago. I have preferred to go to prison. I am thinking this morning of the men in the mills and the factories, of the men in the mines and on the railroads. I am thinking of the women who for a paltry wage are compelled to work out their barren lives, of the little children who in this system are robbed of their childhood and their tender years, are seized in the remorseless grasp of mammon, and forced into the industrial dungeons, there to feed the monster machines, while they themselves are being starved and stunted, body and soul. I seen them dwarfed and diseased, and their little lives broken and blasted, because in this high noon of Christian civilization, money is still so much more important than the flesh and blood of childhood. In very truth, gold is God, and rules with pitiless sway in the affairs of men. I am opposing a social order in which it is possible for one man who does absolutely nothing that is useful to amass a fortune of hundreds of millions of dollars, while millions of men and women who work all day of their lives secure barely enough for a wretched existence. This order of things cannot always endure. I have registered my protest against it. I recognize the feebleness of my effort, but fortunately, I am not alone. I can see the dawn of a better day for humanity. The people are awakening. In due time, they will and must come to their own.